Where are you?
बड़े को सुननी चाहिए
Okay.
एजुकेशन वालों को ज्यादा.
So, Kaya, you can start now. The meeting is being live.
So I welcome everybody this morning, nice sunny morning, to this very interesting talk. Promises to be very interesting and educative. Thank you all of you for coming and joining us this morning. And with this, I request Shri DharamVir to extend a formal welcome.
It's a privilege to welcome Professor Rudra Pratap ji, Vice Chancellor of Plaksha University, and the guest of honor, Professor Anand Bachhawat ji, Convener INSA, Chandigarh chapter and Professor of Biology, IISER Mohali. We are very happy that and also grateful to both of you for having accepted our invitation and to speak about the great institutions that they are steering and what their vision would be. I remember having attended the foundation laying ceremony of Plaksha University. Since it is promoted by the group which included Professor Mr. J.D. Gupta, who was my boss in Haryana government. So he invited me. We did go there, and he asked me, before that he held a couple of meetings, and he asked me, would it succeed? I said, yes, it would succeed, provided you bring a really good paradigm shift in the way we are teaching and doing research in our universities. The time is ripe for good private universities to survive and to flourish. Earlier than that, when Ashoka was coming up at Murthan, the similar discussions took place a couple of times. And I did attend a couple of their meetings at Gurgaon and other places. The same question was raised by me. I said, so long as you provide quality, you would survive. Money is not going to be a problem. They said, would you give us land? They were looking for land near Gurgaon. I said, Gurgaon lands are not possible right now by the government. There's so much of pressure. Why don't you go elsewhere? I said, you go to Sonipat. We are building up IT park there, which did not succeed. Then at that time, we converted into education city. I said, we are developing education city. So reluctantly, these people came and I went there. And I said, how much land do you want? They said, X. I said, we don't give you X, we'll give you 2X. We're looking for expansion. Not you're going to be here for hundreds of years. And we want to give you as much land as you want. And certainly that IT park was not going to succeed. And I thought if a good university come up, it will become a catalyst for others to be there. And we now see Ashoka flourish, one of the best universities that we can think of. And we do look forward to Harvard's in India in form of Plaksha, in form of Ashoka, and many other such ventures in our country. So our dream should be, can we replicate Harvard and move beyond Harvard? These are private universities built on the donations, etc., etc. So when we were setting up IITs, the vision was MIT. So our vision should be, can we match Harvard? Can we match Cambridge for social sciences and humanities? With this, I once again welcome both the distinguished academics, Rudra Pratap ji and Anand Bachhawat ji. And I'm grateful to Professor Grover for inviting them, motivating them to speak at our forum.
Thank you, DharamVir ji, for starting on that buoyant note. And now I request Professor ArunK.Grover, who is also the Vice President SPSTI, to give us a brief on these lectures.
Good morning, all. It's indeed my privilege to welcome all of you on the occasion of Vision Lecture on Plaksha University by the first Vice Chancellor, Professor Rudra Pratap. Today's lecture commemorates National Mathematics Day on behalf of Society of Promotion of Science and Technology of India. The Mathematics Day is celebrated every year on Srinivasa Ramanujan's birthday, December 22nd. We had initially scheduled today's lecture by Professor Rudra Pratap on December 22nd, but it had to be rescheduled to today due to another engagement of Professor Rudra Pratap, which could not be altered. Our audience may recall that SPSTI has been holding public events to commemorate National Mathematics Day every year for over a decade now. I am personally looking forward to listen to Professor Rudra Pratap for the vision lecture on Plaksha. Many years ago, when I was serving as VC of PU, late Professor IBS Pasi, the Vice President of SPSTI, had brought Mr. Pranav Gupta to Punjab University VC office, who shared with me the plans for initiation of Plaksha University. I have been in contact with Mr. Pranav Gupta and Mr. Vineet Gupta ever since then. The Gupta brothers have been associated with the creation of Ashoka University prior to their promotion of Plaksha University. As Mr. DharamVir told us that Gupta brothers are sons of former Chief Secretary of Haryana, Mr. J.D. Gupta, who had studied mathematics at Punjab University, and he was a contemporary of Professor Pasi. Professor Pasi himself had taught at mathematics at Ashoka University in the initial years. So the founders of SPSTI has a special interest in Ashoka University as well as the new venture, the Plaksha University at Mohali. We had an occasion to listen to Mr. Pratham Sinha, who had been associated with the establishment of Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, Ashoka University earlier. The ISPs at Hyderabad at Mohali, the Ashoka University at Sonipat, and the Plaksha University at Mohali are three institutes which are creating new benchmarks for quality education in the spheres of management studies, liberal arts, and technology in contemporary India. I consider myself fortunate to remain associated with Plaksha University ever since its conception. I was present when the president of Stanford Research visited Chandigarh in 2018 to assess the steps being taken for the creation of Plaksha University. I was also present along with Mr. DharamVir ji when the foundation stone of Plaksha University was laid by Chief Minister Amarinder Singh. Plaksha started to admit its first batch of students in 2021. The first Chancellor of Plaksha University, Professor Shankara Shastri of Berkeley University, assumed office just a week ago on December 17. Unfortunately, I was away on December 17 and missed meeting Professor Shastri on that day. But we are making up all this today by going to listen to the vision on Plaksha University by Professor Rudra Pratap. I'm very happy that Professor Rudra Pratap has taken initiative to sign an MOU with IISER Mohali. A similar MOU with IIT Ropar would follow soon. And Plaksha University, promoted on behalf of the corporate sector or the Indians who have done well globally, IISER Mohali and IIT Ropar, coming together of these three institutions, okay, augurs well for higher education and rejuvenation of what Lahore was at one time, a center for promoting research in science and technology. Somewhere we lost out, but I hope that 75 years after the Indian independence, the Mohali Chandigarh region would start to compete with the other centers of excellence today, namely Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Pune. So with this, I conclude my brief talk. Thank you. Back to Kia.
Thank you, Professor Grover. I now call upon Dr. Jeevan Jyoti Panda, who is a member of INIAS. She works in INST, Institute of Nanoscience and Technology, Mohali, is Scientist D, and is also a distinguished scientist Dr. Panda, you are the first fellow of L'Oreal Scholarship that I'm meeting, and I would like to talk to you about this again.
Sure, ma'am.
So right now, Dr. Panda, I request you to introduce today's guest of honor. Dr. Panda.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Professor Kea. Respected Shri DharamVir ji, Professor Grover, Professor Rudra Pratap ji, Professor Bachhawat, Professor Kea, and all respectable dignitaries present here today. Today, on behalf of STI, along with Chandigarh chapters of NASI, INYAS, and INSA, I am very pleased and honored to welcome Professor Anand Kumar Bachhawat as the guest of honor for this lecture series on Vision for Plaksha University. Professor Anand Kumar Bachhawat is a highly acclaimed Indian biologist, biochemist, and geneticist. He is well known for his studies on microbial genetics. He completed his bachelor's in chemistry from the University of Madras and went on to complete his master's from IIT Kanpur. He pursued his PhD in biochemistry from Bose Institute, University of Calcutta. Professor Bachhawat has had a postdoctoral stint in MGS Cancer Center, Harvard Medical School, USA. After that, he served as a scientist at the Central Food and Technological Research Institute, Mysore, from 1987 to 1990, and the Institute of Microbial Technology, Chandigarh, from 1993 to 2010. Later on, he joined IISER Mohali, where he is currently heading the Bachhawat Lab at the Department of Biological Sciences. He has also held the position of Dean of Academy Faculty at IISER Mohali from the year 2011 to 14, Dean of R&D at IISER Mohali from 2014 to 2016, and Head of the Department of Biological Sciences at IISER Mohali from 2015 to 2018. To his credit, Professor Bachhawat has mentored more than 21 PhD students and guided several master students for their master's thesis. Professor Bachhawat and his lab principally focus on understanding how glutathione levels are maintained in the cell and its role in various major components involved in cellular mechanisms. He has published numerous articles in international journals of high repute. He also holds several patents for the biochemical processes he has developed. To his credit, Professor Bachhawat has been awarded and conferred with several honors, fellowships, and awards that includes the very prestigious National Bioscience Award for Career Development by DBT in the year 2000, the prestigious J.C. Bose Fellowship in the year 2012, CSR New India Fund 2004, Fellow of Indian National Academy of Sciences, New Delhi 2011, Fellow of the National Academy of Sciences, Allahabad 2007, and Fellow of Indian Academy of Sciences, Bangalore 2004. He has also served as a member of the editorial boards of several journals that includes the Journal of Biosciences, Current Sciences, Resonance, Microbial Cell, and the Journal of Biological Chemistry. I too am fortunate to being associated with him, and we could work in some projects related to developing nanomedicine for East. And with this, I would like to formally welcome Professor Bachhawat and would request him to address the gathering. Professor Bachhawat. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Panda.
Thank you.
Dr. Bachhawat, please.
Yeah, thank you, Jyoti, for that very elaborate and almost embarrassing introduction. Thank you also, Dr. Grover and DharamVir for sort of giving me an opportunity to be part of this in a special way. I mean, I was actually reluctant because, in a sense, we are also co-hosts of this series. So I was telling Dr. Grover that I should not be, actually guest of honor for this occasion. But thank you anyway, and I'm happy to be part of it. I'm actually sort of excited, also looking forward to Dr. Rudra Pratap's talk. So, in this cluster of institutions in Mohali, Plaksha is the new kid on the block, and it's a kind of we already can get the feel that's a different kind of kid. So it's with radical new ideas. I got a sense of that when a few weeks ago when we signed the MOU, and some of us from IISER had gone there, and we had we sort of met the faculty there. And during the introductions, there were two things I noticed. One was they also had faculty in undergraduate education. I think there was one in biology education and probably in engineering education, I think, if I'm right. So I mean, faculty who have interest in those areas. That's one of the things which really struck me as something which indicates that, they're thinking differently. And I think that's important for this cluster of institutions, because we all know, and IISER, we all already know this so well. We really need new ways of thinking in terms of our education. And so during the introduction at Plaksha, when we were just going around the introductions, one of the things, then after that, one of the first questions that I think the dean asked to some of us was, so what are you doing about attendance? So they sort of put the finger on the key question. That's really an issue which we all have to grapple with, because students of today are different from the way we were, when we were students. They have a huge amount of resources available to them. There are great lectures on, online. So obviously, we have to first of all teach differently. We have to, otherwise we sort of, we can't go for the classical pedagogical teaching. So the fact that Plaksha is actually, having people who actually have interest in this is a good sign. And I think that's really a sign that, they're thinking differently. And we all hope for their success, because their success will help rub off some things, new ideas to us also. And the other thing which I found very interesting is the fact that, so it's a technical university, and yet what I found I was surprised to find when we found a large number of biologists. That was interesting to me, and also a very focused, areas on, I think, machine learning largely, and AI, etc. That was again very interesting, and I can clearly see, a greatly focused, it's not like the traditional way engineering institutions are built, where you have all the subjects, right in the beginning. But I think it's so they clearly have different ways of thinking, and I think that's extremely important and extremely refreshing. And we hope that this interactions in the cluster, it will be really rewarding. Finally, I should say that one other thing is that there are other questions, I think larger questions, the deeper questions that we need to address is so what do our students want to be like? Is it just the jobs? Is it rounded education? And I hope that these deeper questions in terms of education are also sort of emerge from our discussions and the interactions in this cluster. I think that's extremely important. And one final point, I'm hoping that, and some of these issues will maybe Rudra Pratap will maybe sort of bring out maybe, but also the fact that one of the things which at least I personally feel is that we still live in our research in silos quite a bit. There is, despite the fact that there are efforts to increase interdisciplinary research, it's still not there as much as we want. And I think I think the kind of approach which Plaksha is looking at, strong biology and strong machine learning, I think that suggests they have different thoughts on these, and hopefully this will enable a culture where we have greater interactions among disciplines. I think that's the way to go forward if we really want to make an impact internationally in our science. I mean, not only for Plaksha, but for each of our institutions. And I think that's important for us to realize. We still are not realizing that enough, that interactions across disciplines is extremely important. I think we still are not, that's not registering in some of our minds. So I think just with these few thoughts, I'd like to thank again, Dr. Grover and DharamVir for giving me an opportunity to be here in a special way. I would have probably have been here anyway, but in this special sort of capacity, I'm really honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Bachhawat, for always being with us. And thank you for bringing out those novel questions about modern day teaching. And now I request Dr. Shubhankar Chakraborty, again from INST, to introduce today's speaker. Professor Chakravarti, Dr. Chakravarti himself is a very distinguished person working in the area of nanomaterials. Dr. Chakravarti.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. Thank you, KIG, DharamVir, Professor Grover, for this opportunity. It is indeed an honor to introduce today's speaker. In addition to that, it's my great privilege that today we have the guest of honor, Professor Anand Bachhawat, who is an inspiration for many of us. You might know that the campus of INST is in very close proximity with IISER Mohali. And from the very beginning, we shared a very strong bonding. And that has been possible because of the senior faculty members and mentor like Professor Bachhawat. In addition to all of this, I learned from him how to appreciate younger faculty members and encourage them. Thank you, Professor Bachhawat, for supporting always and guiding us and to learn how to behave like a senior faculty member. I think this is very important. Now, let me come back to my original job of introducing Professor Rudra Pratap. Unfortunately, I had never got an opportunity to meet Professor Rudra Pratap personally. But I know him from the very beginning after I joined INST. Let me tell you how. First, I got to know about him when, at that time, he was heading the nanoscience facility at IISc Bangalore. So one day I was having a discussion with my colleague of INST related to some device fabrication. At the end of the discussion, I said, well, it will be having a very great to have these devices, but how and where to make it? My colleague said, it is possible to make it in Nano Center of IISc Bangalore, and they have excellent facility there. So honestly speaking, I was a little bit skeptical about this possibility. And I said, will they allow us to do this? And will it be so easy to do it there? They spontaneously said yes. And it is definitely possible because Professor Rudra Pratap is there. And he is so helpful and approachable that it will be possible and that there will be no problem at all. And finally, yes, I could see that they could do this there at IISc Bangalore. Thank you, Professor Rudra Pratap, for always being so generous to younger colleagues. Technically saying that Professor Rudra Pratap did his BTech from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur in the year of 1985. He then obtained his MS from University of Arizona in 1987, followed by his PhD from Cornell University. And I'm happy to say that one of my students has joined in Cornell University as a postdoctoral fellow. Then he joined Indian Institute of Science in the year of 1996 and continued there until he assumed the charge of Plaksha University as the Vice Chancellor. His contribution to the nanoscience and technology is truly amazing. He works in the field of micro electromechanical system, MEMS, and used to head the India's first research lab in the field of MEMS at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He had published more than 150 scientific articles. In addition, his book on MATLAB guiding started with MATLAB 7 is enormously popular among the young students and engineers. Today, he is going to talk about the vision of Plaksha University. May I now request Professor Rudra Pratap to kindly start his lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Chakravarti. And Professor Rudra Pratap, we have been eagerly waiting to listen to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the introductions, DharamVir, Professor Grover, and thank you, Professor Grover, for inviting me to this forum. I'm so happy to be a part of it. Always wanted to be a part of this, but for last 1 year, 4 months that I've been here in Mohali, just didn't get breathing time, amidst starting the university in such a time of COVID, which kept us really, really very busy. Anyway, so today we are, as Professor Grover mentioned, that we wanted to do this lecture on December 22 as National Mathematics Day celebration. We all know that it's celebrated because it's birthday of the great mathematician Ramanujan. But mathematics as such has been such a strong part of Indian culture for such a long time that it's not just Ramanujan that we should celebrate, but there are many, many mathematicians. I've just listed 5 of them here, starting from Aryabhat to Barahmihra to Brahmagupta to Bhaskar to Narayan Pandit. These are true giants in mathematics. And of course, there have been many more. But the point here is that it was a continuous stream of great mathematicians till 1400, 1500 AD. And after that, there was a lull. And again, we started picking up the threads with modern mathematicians. So this is a tradition, this is a heritage that we are very proud of. And in that heritage, there are many more things to be proud of that I'll allude to as I go through the vision for Plaksha University. Now let's just start with higher education itself. Why are we talking about new kind of education today, particularly in the context of Plaksha, it's tech education, but it helps to go back and look at the higher education historical perspective itself. The basic structure of this education predates, printing press. And why that is so important is because the guiding principle for lecture-based teaching was that information was not readily available. So that's the method that was adopted for disseminating information by going to the board and writing information that the information holder, in this case, professors had, and then students copied this kind of information. So the basic structure of what we know as education today is really, really old. Now, let me come to tech education or engineering education, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Engineering education, the historical perspective of it, I would like to give that from 1750 to about 1850, European schools dominated engineering education. This was all, hands-on work. It was apprenticeship. That was the kind of education that it was. And from 1885 to 1985, American schools dominated tech education, and there somehow this hands-on work started to become more and more theory-oriented. So this is like a pendulum which swung all the way from hands-on work to theory, and this happened because of certain developments that I'm going to tell you about. Robert Thurston, it just so happens that I was in Thurston Hall at Cornell, and that's how I know this history pretty well. Robert Thurston was the first guy or first faculty member, in mechanical engineering who introduced a lot of physics-based learning. He introduced physics in the teaching of engineering. And that started this entire trend of putting more and more theory into engineering. Then there were these 3 key European stalwarts who migrated to US, von Karman at Caltech, Westergaard at University of Illinois, and Stephen Timoshenko at Stanford. They were really, really grounded in theory, and they brought a lot of mathematical analysis. Von Karman in fluid mechanics, Westergaard was in civil engineering. Timoshenko did a lot of elasticity theory. As a matter of fact, elasticity theory, as far as we know, for all of engineering was largely developed by Timoshenko. So these 3 gentlemen brought a lot of analysis and a lot of mathematical rigor and physics to engineering education. That's what got engineering education away from hands-on work, more and more hands-on work, to more and more in-class teaching or theoretical underpinnings of engineering training in those crafts. Now, let's just fast forward. By 1985, 1990, I was there. I started hearing these kind of murmurs in engineering education that, hey, look, engineering education has become too theoretical. Engineers are not good enough with their hands. And the pendulum started swinging back that we need to bring more hands-on work to engineering. That hands-on work, which is called today experiential learning. Now, that trend started in 90s, but it's these three contemporary gentlemen, Eric Mazur at Harvard, a physics professor, Carl Wyman, a well-known Nobel laureate in physics, and Sanjay Sharma in mechanical engineering at MIT. These gentlemen, these are all three live gentlemen who have contributed a lot in the last 20 years to new paradigms of education, And the idea has been, among all of them, I personally think that Carl Wyman has done incredible amount of work in how students learn, how learning takes place. And I have been following Carl Wyman, his work, ever since I read this article, Stop Lecturing Me, in Scientific American in 2014. It turns out that Carl Wyman did a body of work on how students learn, and then started advocating that, look, we are not doing right kind of teaching at universities. So with all of his work and pilot projects that were done at 3 universities, he came up with this book, Improving How Universities Teach Science. This was called Science Education Initiative, well funded by NSF. I think it was a $12 million grant that he implemented. And this was done at 3 universities. From there, a lot of learning is embedded in this book. So, Carl Wyman said this thing, one of his quotes, which I really like, is, learning really happens when you have something in your thinking that's wrong, and you come to understand why that's wrong and how to change it. So how to make students go through this kind of exercise is what is at the base of new revolutions that are taking place in teaching and learning. Sanjay Sharma, along with 4 of his colleagues, Diana Henderson, Daniel Jackson, David Kaiser, S.P. Kothari, and Sanjay himself, they have come up with sort of a blueprint. This is a white paper, an affordable new educational institution. It talks about modern education, how in US, there are lots of questions on higher education today, lots of questions on higher education. This is just a 14 or 18 pages long white paper, but it puts across very good points of how education or new age universities should be created, what kind of foundations they should have. Of course, we have our own thoughts. It's this particular white paper just came out, but we have been thinking along this line for last decade or so, and Plaksha has certainly been on the drawing board for 7 years. So relevance of all these new paradigms of education, that whether it should be theory, whether it should be experiential, whether it should be a new kind, what is it, and why should we be paying attention? What is it for India? Why should India be paying attention to this? I'll draw your attention to this history lesson. This is a fact that we all know, but this was I picked it up from Juan Enriquez's book or chapter on this failing countries post 9/11. No chapter 11 for failing countries post 9/11. What is remarkable is that history tells us as late as 1840, India and China were the two global behemoths that represented 40% of global trade, as late as 1840. And after that, things changed radically. And, till very recently, till a few years ago, India and China both represented just 4% of global trade, till China just took off in last 20 years. So the problem staring at our face here is that what happened and how did this transformation take place and what can one do to reverse it? Now, if you look at education, DharamVir pointed out that maybe we should have a Harvard or beyond or MIT and beyond in India. I have been always inspired by Takshashila University all my life. I think that what India needs is a 21st century version of Takshashila University. This was a university when nobody, no other society in the world had even thought of organized education or university. This was the very first university. But what a university it was. It has 2,000 faculty members, 10,500 students, 64 fields of study. Unbelievable. This is 10,500 resident students when the whole world population was probably just a few million. This kind of incredible innovation that happened at that place and the kind of scholarship it produced, I don't see any university as inspiring as that. These are some of its alumni. Who can boast of better known alumni than these? This is not just because we know their names, but because the kind of scholarship they did. Panini is the first authority on structuring grammar, understanding how languages are structured. Out of nowhere, when he puts together a structure on grammar, and what kind of credit do you have to give to that kind of scholarship? Or, economics by Chanakya or medicine by Charaka. These are the kinds of work that can inspire generations and generations of individuals and societies if we pay attention to such things. Now, the key differentiators in the modern era have been research that lead to innovation and that lead to technology, because that's what leads to new products and that leads to knowledge economy. If we think along these lines, this is a slide that I had created in 2004, I think, when I was giving a lecture on North-South dialogue on nanotechnology, or North-South divide rather on nanotechnology in 2004, that what were the issues in developing world regarding research. Now, governments fund research everywhere in the world. They fund research. That government funding goes to research institutions write research papers and technologies. It just so turns out that in most of developing world, our cycle of research used to stop here by writing research papers, and that was it. That's what we thought was the end goal of doing research. But all developed nations go through further from there, that these research papers also create technologies go to companies make products make money, and money comes back to government in terms of taxes, and this virtuous cycle is established. But this is the part that has been missing from us for a long time. And this is what the 21st century demands, that we do this successfully. This is why we are looking at new paradigms of education, new universities that train people differently, that make them think differently. We need to have education that takes us from science to systems. It's science, engineering, technology, systems, thinking about and working on not just discovery, but innovation, scale up, and utility. All of this, if this can be accomplished through our education, then we wouldn't have to read commentaries like why India and China were such huge trade partners for the world, and why they reduced to such smaller proportion. So technology by far today in the world is the wealth generator. If you look at top companies that generate revenue, revenue in billions of dollars, you will be looking at these kinds of companies, which are, most of them, even those that are finance, this is mostly finance, retail, and technology. This is what these companies do. Now, if you look at Indian companies, there is a huge order of magnitude difference between what these bigger tech companies do and what we are able to do in our companies or with our companies in India. There is a huge difference. But the difference is even more stark when you look at revenue per employee, which is in thousands of dollars. And the key differentiator here is technology. Anyway, I would just draw your attention to 2021 Apple's revenue, $365 billion. Now, Apple is a tech company, tech product company, Even its iPad generates, that is the smallest segment in Apple itself, and that's $32 billion revenue, $32 billion. By comparison, our biggest company in tech, TCS, generates $22 billion. Infosys generates $13 billion. It pays to, pay some attention to these numbers just to understand where we are in tech space, what we are doing, how we are doing it, and what the shortcomings are. Not that, vaguely we know this, but, at the end of the day, you need to put concrete ideas to such things. And if you ask yourself that why is it that, we don't have those products that generate these kinds of revenues, why we don't generate those products or technologies in the country, you will look at this so-called technology readiness level, TRL map, and you'll see that university research, which goes from 1 to 4 on TRL scale, and commercialization happens at 9 and 10, this whole big part of development has been largely missing in India. We have not been able to address, despite knowing that this is a whole, we have not been able to address it squarely. This has been our biggest problem. So the question is, this valley of death, which is development from TRL 5 to 8, can universities do something about it? Can universities take 2 more steps and go up to 6 or 7, and then companies can do from 8, 9, 10? In India, most companies want products at 9 and 10. Now, all of a sudden, in the last 10 years, we are seeing that there are far more startups which are saying that, no, we can take things at TRL 5 and start from there. We need far more companies like that. And then only we will be able to create an ecosystem. So what does it take to create these kinds of ecosystems? That's where, this whole idea of science to systems, which is not a solo sport. It's necessarily a team sport. You have to be able to work with lots of other folks. You have to be able to form teams. You have to be able to collaborate very effectively and efficiently. This is something that in a research field in science and technology, we have to accelerate. This has not traditionally been our strength, but this is where the huge gap is, and this is what we need to plug in. So technological leaps for India require new kind of research and new kind of education. This is what I am submitting here to the audience, that this is the requirement of the day. When we talk about research, from individual endeavor to teamwork is a must. This is what the new imperatives are. Discipline-rooted research to interdisciplinary research. This is what an imperative today. Personal labs to lab networks. This is an imperative. You know, when I was being introduced, our colleague from INST said that, you know, he got the devices made at IISc. This was a big gap in the country that I realized in year 1999. And then, you know, in my mind, I resolved that we have to build a facility which is open to everybody. You know, traditionally, our science, you know, I mean, it hasn't been a flattering commentary on how we have been doing research and how we have been managing our labs in this country, you know, where it was so individual centric that, you know, most people were left out. And we wanted to change that. And that's how the Center for Nanoscience and Engineering was established as a place where anybody could work and do their research work. They could do their research. So my experience from that experiment, you know, 10 years of my life I spent on establishing something like that, Center for Nanoscience Engineering, or CENS, it is called, at IISc. We raised 300 crores for establishing that facility, you know, clean room facility at IISc, and opened it up to the whole country. So that has been my experience, and I bring that experience to Plaksha. So if we fast forward to 2020, bold experiments with a tech university of the future, which is Plaksha University, and it brings to the table a reimagined tech education. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So engineering education, if you look at the current status, it's old structure, information-centric education. Regulatory bodies haven't been doing a great job, I don't think. It's World War effect on education that we are carrying on so far. So, you know, these are things that exist, and this is what we are after, that this needs to be changed drastically, radically, and that's why Plaksha University has come into being. This is the dream of so many people together. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But first, the name itself. Why Plaksha? So Plaksha is the name of the tree from which river Saraswati is said to have originated. And therefore, it's an apt name for the university from where the river of knowledge will hopefully flow. What is reimagined here? What are we, when we say this is a reimagined tech education, what are we reimagining? So the pedagogy itself is reimagined, okay? That is number one. It's interdisciplinary technology curriculum integrated with liberal arts and experiential learning. That's at the heart of how we think about education at Plaksha. It's also to enable industry innovation and startups. You know, that entire TRL map that I showed you, somehow amorphously, we want to straddle all of those all the way to TRL 8 from our university itself. And research itself is changing drastically. How we think about research is not something that you only do individually, individual labs, but we are setting up thematic research centers that are centered around solving grand challenges of India and the world. It's not about this department research and that department research, and I'll show you a little bit about that as well, pretty quickly. The best thing about this university, as DharamVir ji pointed out, and Professor Grover alluded to that just like ISB and Ashoka University, this is collective philanthropy. So this is a remarkable revolution in India, that these private universities, these new ones, are not being set up by a family or by one industry house, where you do run the risk of certain indoctrination from whoever it is that establishes the university. Here, these are all modern day entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, very well educated, and they have that aspiration, the same aspiration that DharamVir ji was articulating, that why isn't there Harvard or MIT in India? And my dream of building a 21st century tech version of Takshila University resonated very well, and that's how I signed up with the university. So, there are lots of companies as well that are participating in this journey by contributing through their CSR funding. I have listed some of them here. Academic advisors, we have been able to enlist the support of lots of really good academic advisors from around the world. These leaders that you see on the screen are incredible leaders. They have proven themselves in and around the world, and we have been very fortunate that they spend quite a bit of time brainstorming with us about this new age education and reimagined tech education. I wouldn't pick individually, but you will know almost all the names here. We regularly consult Kaushik Basu, Abhijit Banerjee, Venki Narayan Murthy at Harvard, Rajamani from Microsoft Research, and of course, as Professor Grover pointed out, that our first chancellor, founding chancellor, Professor Shankar Sastry, his investiture ceremony took place on 17th of December, just last week. I have known Shankar for a while, and it's such a pleasure to work with him and think about what we need to do at Plaksha. Right now we have about 30 faculty members, full-time faculty members, and there are 30 or 35 visiting faculty members also with us. But these faculty members we have chosen very, very carefully from around the world. Everybody here knows that faculty selection is by far the most difficult and most important task for building credible universities. And this is the job that we have at hand right now. We are continuously recruiting. Our selection committee is an international selection committee where there are always a few experts from abroad and a few experts from India for each faculty member. That's how we go through selection process. So our search is on. We are continuously recruiting, as I said, and if you come across really, really young, talented, energetic faculty members from anywhere, please do refer us to them, and we will be happy to look at them very carefully. So education at Plaksha, what are the foundations? How are we changing education? New foundational training, this is all preparing for the future. Flexibility and interdisciplinarity in curriculum as a core strength, you will see evidence of that. individual student-centric model for teaching and learning. Professor Bachhawat mentioned that we have actually a center for teaching and learning where people do research in education itself, education, engineering, and biosciences education. So research in education is an integral part of our thinking. Research in the DNA of learning and training, right from day one. I come from Indian Institute of Science Culture, and therefore I had made it a precondition for joining the university that research will start on day one. It wouldn't be that, for 5 years we'll do undergraduate teaching and then we'll start research. No such thing. We'll start research from day one. Understanding problems and scales from local to global, understanding local problems and finding solutions and how solutions scale, how problems scale, understanding that. These are fundamental ideas that we have put into our tech education at Plaksha. We had launched Young Tech Scholars Program. This is 2 weeks high school program for students for complete immersion in hands-on work. We have a master's program that has been running in association with UC Berkeley, co-designed and co-delivered with UC Berkeley. That has been going on from 2019. This was done by the foundation, Higher Education Foundation that started Plaksha University. Undergraduate program started last year, and PhD program has started this year, and we will be launching executive education next year. YTS, the mission is to train students. This is for high school students, 150, 200 of them. We get to the campus and we train them on real world challenges. In 2 weeks, the kind of hands-on experience they get so enthused and they get so enthusiastic about doing technology and doing engineering education that quite a few of them have ended up joining Plaksha here. So these are the 4 undergraduate majors that we have started with. Our majors, as you can see, these are not traditional engineering majors. CS and AI, robotics and cyber physical systems, biological systems engineering, data science, economics, and business. These are the new majors we have started. Ma'am, how are we doing on time? How much time do I have?
Oh, please take your time.
Please carry on.
Okay.
Your lecture is extremely good and very informative. So please carry on.
Okay, thank you. So I talked about a new foundational shift, in engineering education, and it is on your screen. We do 3 semesters of common curriculum for all our students, irrespective of what majors they have. Actually, they don't even declare their majors when they join. They give their preference that we would like, CS and AI or robotics and cyber physical systems or data science, whatever. When they give their preferences, we just keep them as, preferences, and we train them for 3 semesters, common curriculum. And then we ask them that, okay, what major would you like? Our aspiration is, right now, we are giving them whatever they want. We have no fixed seats. We have no fixed quota for any particular major. Okay. The idea is that the students should be able to pursue whatever they want. And if I'm successful in this mission, then in 5 to 10 years' time, they would have complete flexibility to change their majors even in their final year and perhaps take another year to complete whatever they want. So what we are doing here, you can see that there is a block called Innovation Lab and Grand Challenge Studio. This is project-based learning from semester 1. And these are vertically integrated. All your students work together on these projects. So final year students can teach third years can teach second years can teach first years. All all of them can work together on projects. This is an incredible kind of, opportunity. This is basically trying to bring what was a successful model of engineering education in 18th and 19th century that was called apprenticeship, where somebody watches over your shoulder what you are doing and you learn from your seniors. So this is ILGC that goes through, and you can see the other courses which are all completely reimagined. This is not anybody who has gone through any engineering education in this country will see that this is a complete radical departure from how we were trained in our first year or second year. I will also draw your attention to this one, these courses. Look, Foundations of Physical World. This is combination of Physics 1, Physics 2, Physics 3 that we did in engineering. Foundations of Physical World. You don't need all the details. That information is readily available to you. Do you understand classical mechanics? Do you understand electromagnetic theory? Can you understand the foundations of quantum mechanics? This is what is in this course. That's it. You don't need, thousands of pages of all kinds of things anymore. Similarly, if you look at Introduction to our Biosystems Engineering, it's called Nature's Machines. It's not called cell biology. It's not called molecular biology. It's called Nature's Machines. That's the lens we want students to develop, that how do you look at biology? And then, cyber physical systems gets introduced next in terms of intelligent machines that human beings create, right? So these are the kinds of innovations that we have done, and design thinking starts right from semester 1, and then design thinking gets embedded in our ILGC projects, okay? So design is an integral part of their education. So as I said that, it's time to condense those courses and create new courses. Similarly, as I was talking about, that Nature's Machines, whether you look at an insect or whether you look at, any organ in the body or the whole human being or animals or even ATP motor, whatever it is, these entities are all incredible machines designed by nature. How do they function? How do they scale? How do certain transducers, sensors scale from insects to larger animals? Understanding this is at the heart of understanding nature's engineering. And this is what we're trying to do. We have also been told that communication skills are very bad for engineers. The whole industry shouts and screams about this, that engineers of India can't, or engineers trained in India can't write, can't communicate. Well, we heard them. Therefore, we created a new center. We created a center for thinking, language, and communication. This center draws, its inspiration from some Veda philosophy of tutorial model, and we are trying to create one-on-one capacity and skill building tutorials, one-on-one. Each individual student treated as an individual, their communication, their inherent communication style to be discovered and strengthened. This is the goal. We are not there yet. We have just begun this. And we are trying to do this, so Cambridge University has this tutorial system, which is very, very effective, and perhaps the biggest strength of Cambridge. We are drawing upon our own, inheritance, so to speak, from our heritage of how teaching was done in this country long ago, and bringing that in modern context, and also sort of strengthening that with AI engines, artificial intelligence engines, to help customize, personalize this kind of education. That's the goal. We are very committed to diversity and inclusion. So we have students from all over the country, from second tier, third tier towns, and even from villages. Our students come from everywhere. We have 60% students on scholarship, and therefore, it's not one of those elite schools that only if you have lots of money, you can come here. We have lots of scholarship. We have students from all strata of society. As a matter of fact, our admission process is completely need blind. So we do not look at, their paying capacity when we decide or offer admissions. Once we decide our merit list, then we look at who needs a scholarship, and the need-based scholarship is provided to 50 to 60% students. So that's where we are as of now. It's already creating impact. We have just 2 batches of undergraduates, and we have a master's cohort, we have a PhD cohort, but our students are already making waves. Now, to foster excellence, we have forward-looking curriculum that I talked about. We have diverse set of students, excellent faculty, and the research focus is multidisciplinary. As I told you, let me show you a little bit about that. But before I go there, what is our goal? What kind of graduates we want to create or manufacture here? What kind of graduates? What kind of attributes we are looking for in our graduates? So curious, creative, confident, committed, and compassionate. These are the 5 attributes that I would love to see in every single student that graduates from Plaksha. And that's the kind of transformation we are after, with all tools at our disposal, with all knowledge at our disposal, with all humility at our disposal. We want to create these kinds of individuals. As I talked about research, here are our interdisciplinary research centers that are anchored on grand challenges. I repeat, we don't have departments at the university, and never will we ever have departments. We have heard those words over and over that people work in silos in universities. We have, by design, removed all the silos. These research centers are focused on grand challenges, and they attract faculty from all disciplines, from every discipline. Faculty members are members of these centers, and then the course coordinators draw out faculty from all of these centers depending on the faculty expertise to teach those undergraduate courses. So we have Center for Clean Energy and Climate. I'm happy to report that this center just took off. Last week, we got 30 crores funding from a company to kickstart this center. Similarly, our Center for Digital Agriculture has started with funding from industry. We are actively looking for funding for Center for Water Security and Center for Digital Health. These will also, the centers are there. They're funding. Right now, they're being funded by the university, but we'll soon get external funding for these as well. Digital Terrascope is a project of our Data Science Institute. And this Data Science Institute cuts across all these centers. So Data Science Institute provide information to all these centers, and also takes information or collects information from all these centers. So it's a two-way communication. Let me just tell you a little bit about Digital Terrascope project. This is by far the most ambitious academic project I have ever heard in India. So Digital Telescope project is about collecting data on 200-meter by 200-meter grid from entire India, from the entire country. And these will be riding on the 5G towers. We are working with Airtel for this project. The pilot will be for the state of Punjab. Airtel, in turn, is has connected us with Google. So we are working with Google and Airtel on this project to take off. So we will be using right now existing 4G towers, which will soon get converted into 5G towers. And once we go to 5G towers, the density of towers increases because the frequency is much higher, and therefore the area coverage becomes smaller. So we will have a higher density of towers. On those towers, we'll be mounting these sensors. This is for above the ground, on the ground, and below the ground collection of data. So below the ground data collection will be for water table and water quality, groundwater quality data. And above the ground, of course, climatic data, water, air quality data. On the ground for vegetation, animal mobility, vehicular mobility, human mobility, all this kind of data is going to be collected, and analytics engines are going to run on them. This data will be stored in the cloud, and ultimately curated data will be put there as a free resource for anybody to use and do research on. So anybody who wants to do research with this kind of data, the data will be available. You can see the core labs at the bottom that we are setting up, and these core labs are going to be open to everybody. Again, this is my experience from Indian Institute of Science, Nano Center, and that's what I'm putting here to work, that all these labs are core labs that are open to everybody. The way we look at how you do research is we use the campus itself as a living lab. So campus is a living lab. Students can implement their solutions on campus first. Then you go to city of Mohali. Then you go to state of Punjab. Then you scale it up for India and the world. This is the scaling I talked about right in the beginning, that we are trying to teach students how do solutions scale. Solutions don't scale the same way problems scale. Problems more or less scale linearly with the number of human beings in the world, but solutions don't scale that way. Solutions scale very differently because they have lots of other parameters built into them. So this is teaching scale, which has never been done ever in any university. I don't know any university in the world that teaches this kind of scaling to students. We have partnered with great institutions around the country. We haven't, this is slightly older slide, and therefore you don't see our friends from IISER here, but they're a part of this mix now. We are choosing these universities extremely carefully because we want to do certain things with each one of them. So we are not signing MOUs with anybody just to show, to the outside world. That's certainly not the way we think or the way we work. Our students have been making news. We have already entrepreneurs. We have they have created companies. They have incubated these companies, startups, and these startups have already got recognition. So this is happening already. Now, the vision for Plaksha University for 2035. If we fast forward a decade or so, the steady state is supposed to be 500 plus faculty, scientists, and researchers on our campus, 8,000 plus students resident on campus. It will be probably 50% undergraduates and 50% graduate school, postgraduate students. This 50,000 plus students via blended learning will probably go to 1 lakh or so. But, I'm not convinced with any of the hybrid models of education that exist today, and we are working on our own hybrid model. Once we have a good model that we are convinced about, we will reach out to far more students. Obviously, we want to create entrepreneurs because entrepreneurs are the ones who have founded this university, and it's in the DNA of this university, and that's what we would like to do. So what are the major challenges I see today? The holy grail of quality education is personalization of education. This is what existed long time ago, that teachers or gurus paid attention, individual attention, attention to individual students, and education was tailored that way. This conveyor belt, industry strength, so to speak, education that universities started doing, one shoe fits all kind of education. Now we have realized that no, it doesn't, right? And therefore, personalization of education is a goal that we have at Plaksha. How do you do that when you have lots of students? How do you treat a student not as a mere roll number, but as an individual with different facets of their personality? This is where I think that AI is going to be of great help. And that's what we are looking at doing. Scaling of quality science and tech education, which requires a lot of infrastructure. Chances are that the metaverse can fill this gap in scaling up without being stretched in terms of necessarily putting lots of physical labs all over the place. So that is another hope that we will be able to scale quality science and tech education in the country. Setting high bars for students and faculty. This is my personal experience in this country. I have been here now for 27 years. And what I've seen is that when faculty members who are trained abroad come to India and join as faculty, when they join, they are at the top of their fields. They are really at the very edge, when we hire them. But after coming here, within 3 years, they thermalize to a completely different level. And why is that? I have always been worried about this. So I'm certainly thinking that what we can do to peg them at higher energy states and not let them relax to lower energy states. This is something that we are continuously thinking and doing, or figuring out ways to do this at Plaksha. Incorporating agility in the university institutes. We all hear that, old universities are not able to change and blah, blah, blah. So why is it that old universities become ships? What will make them fighter jets? What kind of control algorithms we need to use so that they become very, very agile? So that's what we are thinking about putting in institutes of Plaksha University. That, for example, there are no departments, but you have research centers. What prevents research centers from becoming fossilized and becoming departments of their own? Necessarily, every 10 years, half of the centers have to shut down, and the other half have to change their direction. This is something, for example, one can do. Creating an environment for fearless pursuit of original scholarship. This brings me back to Takshila. I am so impressed with the original scholarship that took place during those days, how to bring that back. By the way, most of you might even know that Takshila was also a collective philanthropy model. It wasn't one king that gave money and that's how it worked. It wasn't like that. So I think that this is something that we need to create in the country. And with that, I'll just show you some images, perhaps even a video of
new age technology leaders who are confident, who are compassionate, who understand society, who understand human values.
Plaksha offers an imaginative and creative engineering curriculum, which is unique in the world.
real world problems have multiple perspectives, and you need to look at different dimensions to solve these problems. Plaksha has a focus on interdisciplinary education and research. And this, I believe, will not only help us solve problems, but it will also enable students to learn about what all things are involved in problem solving.
For example, a Plaksha student who is taking courses related to computer science might be able to solve problems in very different areas, such as digital health and smart agriculture.
So you have contemporary courses in technology, which are very well blended with courses within liberal arts and entrepreneurship. You build in a lot of soft skills of effective communication, of empathy, of creativity.
I expect our students to be the technological leaders and innovators, both in this country as well as abroad.
They will be at a unique position to develop new technology and find new solutions to the challenges facing the 21st century.
We envision our entire campus to be a living lab. Every campus is a microcosm of society, you know. It has all the problems that you see outside. So you can study these problems and find solutions, implement on campus.
I will be pursuing the biological systems engineering course. I had PCMD in school, and because I studied biology, I was conventionally expected to pursue a medical profession. But here I am at Plaksha. I'm not only learning biology, but also robotics, artificial intelligence, data science, and even economics.
The faculty, the founders, the academic leadership, all of them are amazing. They're all distinguished in their own fields.
I joined Plaksha because I want to push the boundaries, make an impact, and make this world a better place to live in.
I want to explore the unknown.
I want to find solutions.
I want to lead fearlessly.
So with that, I would conclude with these remarks that we do need to transform our education radically. Engineering education needs a complete overhaul to be ready for 21st century challenges. The new paradigms of engineering education require a foundational shift, experiential learning, interdisciplinary training, a focus on grand challenges, and a better understanding of human society. And Plaksha is up to this task. Thank you very much. I'll be open to questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It was a mind-blowing lecture. I've never heard this dimension of education.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much, Professor Rudra Pratap. And I am going to take the liberty of making this lecture available to all the students and the faculty at PEC and IIT Roper, as well as the UIIT of Punjab University, Chandigarh.
Now we'll host it on our website also.
And these institutions get some of the best students from our region and maybe all across the country. And each of them is hungry to have the kind of education that you have presented today. So I am going to make them hungry for this and make that, okay, learn about this, an experiment that is happening in their neighborhood, okay, via listening to your lecture. So you may get inquiries from students, maybe emails from them. And my only request to you is set up some arrangement to respond to their queries as and when they happen.
Sure.
And in years to come, I would be happy to have your interaction being done in a physical form, maybe at Punjab Engineering College, at IIT Roper, and at the Punjab University's University Institute of Engineering Technology, as well as the Chemical Technology. Luckily, I am associated with all these three institutions in one form or the other at the present. So in the next couple of years, I'm going to reach out to you back again and again and see that you give the benefit of your thinking and your vision to these young people who are also hungry for this kind of education. Thank you very much.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
कोई और comment नहीं तो मैं बोल दूँ. Kya has a question?
Okay, so it's
Anand, Kya?
Yeah, I have a very small question. your summer program for school students. How do you pick them up?
Okay, so students do apply to this program, and we ask them some questions when they apply, just to see how curious they are really, and are they really enthusiastic about science? I mean, they are obviously not exposed to engineering at that point, but science, and there is an admissions team, or there is a team that looks at each application. Probably our admissions team for everything, university education, university admission, as well as for YTS, is the biggest team, because they do so much of work. They go through each application very carefully to see if there is a spark here, if the student really has, shown that they are interested in doing things by their hand. Have they done anything in the past, that gives us that clue, and based on that, we admit them to that program.
So is there anybody I have a few school students we are mentoring from SPSTI. Is there anybody I could contact for?
Sure, ma'am. On the website, their names, numbers, everything is listed. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, Kya, there are questions. Anand wants to ask. Deshdeep wants to ask. So please.
Professor Bachhawat, yes, please.
So, first of all, it was a very wonderful talk, and it's very inspiring to see someone close to us coming with such fantastic vision. And really, we wish Plaksha all the best, because your success is important for us also, in many ways, more than one. So I had a question, I mean, so the very thing which you, so for example, one point which you raised was, I think, was the end, was personalized education. This is something which is extremely important, and we see it here also, because particularly, our students come from, all strata, of course, and varying levels of what scholarship, you can say, almost. So, this, and yet we're dealing with large numbers. So, for example, undergraduate currently we're selecting around 250. So, so that's, one of the major problems is giving individualized attention, and that's something which is really a struggle for us. How does one give individualized, because it's a real problem, and I was just wondering what thoughts you had. You did mention something about AI, but that's still that's still not yet individualized. I guess I think it needs to be. You need more people for that also. So I just wanted your comment on that.
Yeah, this is certainly work in progress, but this is an absolute goal for us, that we are going to do it. We are going to show how it can be done. So, right now, Anand, what we have been able to do is see, our numbers are still small, and it is small deliberately, because all these ideas that we are experimenting with, I want to calibrate them very, very carefully. You can't do that with larger numbers. You are going to fail. So individual attention, what we started doing in our classes, for example, is, every class has a Gaussian distribution. It's the X bar plus 2 sigma students don't need you. They just need a place. Okay. They just need a place. They will do very well. Okay. They need a good place. They need people around them, good people. X bar minus 2 sigma folks, they need real attention, right? So what we do is we start marking them, from first test itself, the very first test that takes place, we start marking them, and we start making everybody, all instructors of that semester, aware that you need to pay special attention to this student. Okay. And our academic team, the academic office team, starts inviting them, chatting with them, seeing what their particular difficulties are. And then we have a whole host of TAs who are unleashed on them, that, hey, can you please spend extra time with these students? So this is the experiment right now we are doing, and we are recording all of this, that how is it proceeding? As I said, that we have Center for Teaching and Learning. So Center for Teaching and Learning does this kind of research, that what kind of intervention helps, what kind of intervention doesn't help. Just sometimes if you call the students, they get scared and they retract in their shells that, hey, somehow I've been marked. So they don't know that they have been marked. They have no idea, right? But, faculty members and TAs just sort of in a very friendly way, they call them and say, okay, are you able to cope up, or do you think you need additional help? What we are hoping is that with this learning, we'll start building some questionnaires. When I said that AI will come to our rescue, one of the faculty members who is part of this education research is an AI expert, and she's trying to put an engine behind it so that it can automatically pick up students, from, there are various cues, from those cues, and then start directing them to resources. So on one hand, we have to create this entire data on resources that, let's say somebody is not very good at math, right? They are going to have progressively bigger problems, as they go along. So if they're not good in math, what part of math they're not good in? First, you have to figure that out. Is it calculus? Is it trigonometry? Where is it that they're lacking? And then resources for that are, easily made available. That, okay, here is an online resource, right? These are the videos you should watch, or these are the books, or these are the exercises you should go through. So this is how individually you can create sort of portfolios for students, individual students. That's the thought process. There is still a way to go.
So one more quick question before I pass on is that this, see, again, you had, I saw that your semester 1, semester 2, some of the very interesting courses you've designed, and it's nice to see that you've done away with departments in a sense. So one question, see, one of the, which, a discussion which we often have here is, see, I saw that for biology, the title was Nature's Machines. I think that was a very interesting title and very nice. I really liked it. So one of the concerns which we have, what faculty often have, when they this should be taught, that should be taught, the students won't have enough. So so this kind of this because we've also maybe the conventional way we've been taught. So every faculty feels that the student has to know this. So what I'm saying is, so there is this issue of depth and width, and so what is your philosophy regarding tackling these problems of depth and width in the subject? That is a very critical thing, even in designing curricula, and something which it's something which we have to grapple with all the time. So I just wanted your thoughts on that.
You said it. You put your finger on the, on the real festering wound that universities have. Anytime you want to design something new, people come to the table with all biases. And somebody from microbiology. Every topic in microbiology is very important. How can this be dropped? How can that be dropped? That's where you want to listen to leaders from that field. All these academic advisors that you saw, we talk to them. After you mature in a field, after working for 30 years, you sort of get a sense of what is important and what is not, right? What are absolutely fundamental ideas. So we have been discussing with these top practitioners and saying that, hey, look, wherever you think that there is a bunch of information here which can be easily picked up by students, let's drop that, okay? Let's put those topics which are really required for sort of sketching an understanding of the system, right? It's like if you don't do it, then there is a gaping hole. But if you have the architecture and you don't have all the details here, let's teach students how to learn that very quickly on their own, where to go for that detailing and what in the detailing you have to pay attention to. That let's teach them the method of learning rather than teaching them the whole thing itself. That's what we are trying to do.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Dr.
May I-
Venkatkrishnan, can you please?
Yes.
May I say,
There was some
Yes.
other question.
may I say something, sir, madam?
Okay, maybe Professor
Dr.
Khalid can go.
Venkatkrishnan,
After that,
after that, please.
Okay, thank you. Professor Rudra Pratap, this is Dr. Venkatkrishnan from IIT Mandi. I work here as a faculty, and currently I'm also the Dean for Sponsored Research and Industrial Consultancy. And one of the problems which you touched upon is the vicious cycle of research, wherein the government funding comes to the institutions and we end up publishing a lot of papers, but it is not getting translated to the companies and eventually the products and the revenue which goes back to the government. So how to tackle this problem? We have been trying to adopt a lot of different strategies, but somehow this problem is still persistent. So what are your views on how this problem could be efficiently tackled?
Right. Professor Krishnan, I have been thinking about this for a long time. It's a passion. So I did come up with a model that all of our institutions, we should set up a translational research center. Okay, translational research center. Now, the reason why we are not able to translate our research into technology or products is because essentially the kind of people we work with PhD students. They are not the right people for translating it into products. And, on the other hand, all our funding agencies keep shouting and screaming at us that, oh, you have to make products, you have to make products. This is, this is a public forum, and I hesitate to say that, their insistence is an utter nonsense. They lack understanding of how it is done. You have to do products with professional engineers. Professional engineers have to be paid professional salaries, right? That's a different set of activities that universities can oversee, can do. And again, I would tell you that we did this experiment at Indian Institute of Science and very successfully. I had a few slides which I took off completely because, it was about Plaksha's vision, so I didn't want to bring that. But we did this experiment at IISc in our center. We set up a different wing with different kind of people, and we paid professional salaries. Okay. By doing that, we have been able to bring out products. We have been able to bring out technologies that are being now licensed, right? So it's that structure that we have to create. Luckily, I'm in a committee in Niti Aayog, and I'm going to push for it that this kind of translational research center be funded at many universities, top universities, at least in India, where we can do this kind of work.
Thanks a lot, Professor Rudra Pratap, for your kind inputs. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Rudra Pratap and Dr. Venkatkrishnan. And now, Professor Kant. Yeah,
Yes,
Deshdeep first.
Thanks, Professor K, for giving me this opportunity.
Yes.
This is an excellent exposition of, I would say, radical transformation in engineering education given by Professor Rudra Pratap Singh. And I had to say a number of things, but apparently when at the end I saw that Plaksha has a collaboration with a number of universities, and one of that happens to be IIT Kanpur. I am proud of it, being I would say, founding faculty at IIT Kanpur from its very inception. Professor Bachhawat knows about it. Professor C.N.R. Rao was there, and it is pleasure to. There's little Professor Rudra Pratap Singh has left to be said in this engineering education, and now IIT Kanpur has virtually laid the foundation for science-based engineering education. This is what I had little to say. In fact, as I mentioned, I had the pleasure of attending the foundation ceremony, and I had met Shri Gupta ji at a function sometimes in 2018 at Biotechnology Institute, Chandigarh. And there I happened to meet him at lunch. And he mentioned to me that they are going to have a new engineering institution, university. I was not aware of the kind of extent he is talking about, but now it's very clear that you are doing wonderful. And I wish success to Plaksha University. Thank you, sir. And I presume very soon, Professor Bachhawat might be with you after some time. This is what I wish. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Deshdeep.
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Professor Rudra Pratap, wonderful talk. But two quick comments I have. One is that it's very interesting that your pedagogy is very diverse. You do not have a bias in terms of a one individual, one company controlling the stakes. That's very, very interesting. The second thing is we would like to see the centers of internationally acclaimed companies in your campus. I would like to see a Google campus, a Google lab there. I would like to see a Siemens lab. That's my wish. I would really want a system where these people can come and have a place and they rub up the shoulders with the students. That would really yield the result. Otherwise, we have examples of the different Harvard Institute, the Manipal Institute, and the the BITS Pilani institutes already on those lines for many, many years. But I think what makes you different is because of the pedagogy and probably international linkages you can develop. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Professor Ahluwalia is also with us. If he wishes to say something, Professor P.K. Ahluwalia.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. In fact, it was a delight to hear this lecture. And I was definitely very happy to hear about the inspiration which has come from people like Carl Wieman to adopt a new kind of paradigm shift in teaching learning itself. Sir, I belong to Indian Association of Physics Teachers. I am president there. And I would like that, can you please think of also, bringing people from subject societies to your university and see what is really happening, and particularly those kinds of things where you are taking care of learning of the students in a very, very scientific manner. I think if that will be possible, that will be an interesting thing for us to do. And we are looking for such new models which we can really share with our members, which are across the country. More than 10,000 members we have got. And I think those physics education research elements which you touched upon will definitely interest us in collaborating with you also. This is what I would like to say, as your model is just wonderful. Your presentation really gave a flight to imagination also. I hope in the northern region, you are going to be the leader in bringing such changes which you have talked about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Certainly, we would love to do that. We would love to connect with you and with the society, and also learn from you. I mean, there is a lot of collective wisdom there. So, learn from the society what works. After all, education is, context dependent. So in Indian context, what is the experience, collective experience, and how we can change it? It will be wonderful to have interaction with you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. We will look forward to that. Thank you very much.
Sir, Ahluwalia is hosting the International Conference on Physics Education, which will be hosted at IIT Roper. And Professor Ahuja is the host of that thing, and it is scheduled in December of 2023, just about a year from now.
Great. Thank you. We will participate.
Oh, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Would you like to add anything?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't catch you calling my name. It was a wonderful presentation, and I think things being tried over there are wonderful. The smaller number of students right now definitely make it feasible. I would like to see how it progresses when we get to larger numbers. That is essentially going to be the acid test. Involving students from different levels in projects is a great idea. And I think that will also ensure sustenance of projects, because knowledge gets passed on from one batch to the other. And it doesn't happen that, when one critical person leaves and suddenly the whole project collapses. I think that is a brilliant idea. And we should try to emulate that in projects which we offer to students in our labs also. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Professor Rudra Pratap, for the wonderful talk.
Thank you, Professor Bagla. Of course, we'll be talking many times, as neighbors, as collaborators.
Yes.
Notes.
Thank you, everybody. And it seems, Mahipalji, Facebook
Yes,
page
ma'am.
है
Yes.
क्या?
No, ma'am.
बताइए.
There is no any
There's no
on
question on Facebook. Okay. So in that case, please allow us to close this session. After Mahipalji, will you
ma'am.
please show a few forthcoming lectures?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So these are the January and February lectures fixed so far. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you
very
much.
Rudra Pratap, I would like to visit you at your convenience sometime after speaking with you. I'll fix a time. I'd
Certainly.
like to, because you are bringing paradigm shift in the way the teaching and research should be done or could be done. So I think it's a great experiment that you have undertaken, and I wish you all the success. I thought one institute which brought paradigm shift in engineering education was IIT Kanpur, which came out with the idea of science-driven, science-based engineering programs. But engineers don't like that idea. And that's how many good professors left the institutions of this kind. So I hope universities like yours would become models for others to adopt and emulate, because knowledge has no boundaries. Only human beings put boundaries.
Yes.
So therefore, so boundaries are not there. Even animals understand there are no boundaries. It is human beings who have brought artificial boundaries. If you do chemistry, but you work on a problem which links with physics or mathematics, you won't get chance to work in that department at all.
Right.
And many of us have faced that challenge and problems. So anyway, this is a larger issue. How engineering and technical science education should progress in our own country. Should we be having engineering colleges, or should we call Institute of Technology? That is the difference.
So I think even this whole idea of science versus engineering, I don't know how it emerged. It's such an utter nonsense. I mean, we need to go beyond that in everyday living on an university. There are no boundaries. there are no boundaries. If I had a chance to present my own research work, I could tell you how effortlessly, wherever science was required, deep science was required, I had to dig deeper and work with colleagues who had better knowledge in that area. So, these kinds of boundaries, this is product of a very small thinking, in my mind. When you are seeking knowledge, period. Whether it comes from science, engineering, humanities, whatever it is, where is the boundary, as you said, where is the boundary there? So we have created this and we should dismantle them as fast as we possibly can.
No, that is wonderful. With this, we can close, and I'd like to meet you sometime.
Sure, sir. Sure. Please let me know.
In the initial stages, in the Industrial Revolution,
Cancer hasn't come.
Shri, in the initial stages of Industrial Revolution, engineering really started. In fact, it didn't start, to be frank, from science. It started from just handworking, arts, and all that. That's how, in the initial Industrial Revolution, engineering started just as it is. It is subsequently, when Faraday's law and those kind of scientific information came, that people realized that obviously science has a much greater part to play in engineering education.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you everybody for those wonderful inputs. And now we shall close this session.
Yes.
Thank you.
Namaskar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.